Eagles. Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Wednesday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause, joined by John McMullen, the number one Eagles beat reporter in town, here to prepare you for a Week 16 now edition of the NFL. Week 16, Eagles will take on the Commanders, coming off their 10th straight win versus the Steelers. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Wednesday morning, brother?
Doing well. Gearing up for the week. Chance to clinch the NFC East. Chance to clinch at least the number 2 seed. So big game in beautiful Northwest Stadium, I believe they're calling it these days. No longer FedEx Field.
Northwest is a downgrade. I hate to break it to the Commanders fans.
Well, I don't think anything's a downgrade if you can make people forget they're going to FedEx Field. Worst stadium in the NFL.
That's true.
By far, by a wide margin.
All right, Johnny Mac, Wednesday of week of now going into the next week. It's time to start to turn that page. We'll talk to Mike Gill and Brandon Lee Gouton today. So we'll get their takeaways on the game. But as we look ahead, I'll start by saying I watched the Hard Knocks last night. And the reason this is relevant to today is the Hard Knocks, the in-season Hard Knocks is the AFC North, and it's covering all 4 of the teams. But they do it right after the week. So I got to see Mike Tomlin prepping for the Philadelphia Eagles, and then they showed some clips of the game and their response, that the Steelers sideline during the game and everything. And I think as an Eagle fan, I might be underestimating this team. I listened to Mike Tomlin, one of the best coaches in football, try and gear his team up for playing the Philadelphia Eagles. And just the small snippet they shared out of the meeting room is this team is dominant, physical, one of the best offenses in football, one of the best defenses in football. So you got to bring your A game and you got to try and out physical this team. And then during the game, John, they completely demoralized them in the second half. Russell Wilson, obviously a veteran player who's been around a long time, says, I have never been a part of a game where I got the ball in the second half twice. They were completely demoralized. And I think that shows you how good this team can be, or at least how high their ceiling really can be. If it all clicks, I don't know if the Eagles can be beat.
Yeah, right now, I think they're the best team in the NFL. But you see, I hope everyone recognizes how quickly things change in this league from week to week. Yep. I mean, coming into this game, we're talking about how poorly they played against Carolina, how they're a Xavier Leggett drop away from losing to one of the worst teams in football to completely dominating a playoff level team. Good team, not great team, as I said. Limitations offensively, but really certainly the most impressive win for the Eagles this season, I think. And the most complete win in any time you have a 21 play drive that goes 10 and a half minutes. I mean, Mike Tomlin's been around for 18 years as a head coach, and obviously he's probably never lived through it. You don't see that. I mean, it's unbelievable to siphon that much time off the clock. So it was a tremendous performance. But again, all these cliches are a reason for a reason. It's never as bad as you think it is when you play poorly. It's never as good as you think it is when you play well. So I'm not going to go the far as nobody can beat them because there's still some good teams out there, starting with a team that never loses, and it looks like Patrick Mahomes is going to be healthy. So if you get to the Super Bowl, you got to deal with a team that's a dynasty, and they already beat you once in the Super Bowl when you were probably the more talented team. So I'm not going to go down the left, and that's just one. There's teams in the NFC that can beat you. So the minute you think you got it solved, I tell that Dante Culpepper all the time. That's the Eagles better not think that way, and they don't.
Right.
Yeah, but they played very well against Pittsburgh, but you don't have to look back very far to see them play poorly.
Right.
So, they haven't solved anything. They haven't cured anything. And my thought process on that is the human nature aspect of it, which they probably took Carolina for granted, and they were hyper focused for Pittsburgh. So, if they bring that focus and intensity each and every week, they're going to have a good chance to go some places.
Yep, got to bring your A game no matter what, no matter how good you are, and that's for sure true in the NFL. John, I want to ask you about. Well, let me ask you this first because this is floating around. Shady McCoy made a comment yesterday that now has had. I was asked on the afternoon show, and people have been talking about it. Shady McCoy says this is the best Eagles team he's ever seen. I know you've been covering this team since about 2016, up close and personal. Obviously, you followed football for a lot longer than that. How does this Eagles team rank for you, John? Is there any merit to that? Is it incomplete for you at this point?
Well, it's definitely incomplete. Obviously, you got to finish the job. I mean, Jody and I used to have that discussion. He's a win. I said the 2022 team is better than the 2017 team, and I still believe that. They didn't finish the deal. This team has the potential to be better. That 2022 team is the best team I've ever covered. Before that, it was the 98 Vikings, who won 15 games, I think. Didn't finish the deal, though. And I thought that 2022 team was better than that team. And this team has, because of the defense, this team has a chance to be better. But yeah, incomplete at this point. More talented, I would say. At least in the top level. And they've stayed healthy, and that's a big part of it.
Right.
That 2017 team, we're talking about the stars aligning. They had so many injuries that people forget about, starting with the quarterback, who was going to be the MVP that year.
Yeah,
so people act like, that was crazy, that run. You didn't have Jason Peters, you didn't have Jordan Hicks, and there were others. Big time players at the time. Jordan was their best linebacker. Jason was obviously the left tackle. And a bunch of other injuries. And they managed to persevere and win the Super Bowl. So, the best example is the Giants, who upset the Patriots, because the Patriots, that's the best team I've ever seen.
Right. 18-0.
Yeah. And they didn't win. So, for me, I'm a little bit different now. That, like I said, I think the 2022 team was better than the 2017 Super Bowl winners. Most Eagles fans aren't going to agree with that. And I get it, because one team won and the other team didn't. But
I think from a talent perspective, it's pretty easy for me to admit that. But you're right. The 2017 team finished the deal.
Yeah. So, depends on your grading scale. They have a chance, though, because of the defense. This defense is the best defense they've had since I've covered the team. And they were number 2 in 2022. They had a pretty good defense. But, yeah, they have a chance, definitely.
Good stuff there. We'll see how this all progresses. This team has a chance to be special. Will they continue to do it week in and week out? They're now 12-2 with 10 straight wins, and I think played their best football in week 15, which is a very promising sign to play your best football so far in December. So you got to keep that moving. John, a little bit of news came out yesterday. I want to get your take on it. I don't think it's a big deal. I think it's worth mentioning. I think I more view it as a positive than anything. Jay Glazer came out and said that Brandon Graham and Big Dom actually took a trip to Jalen Hurts' house during the bye week and said they wanted to connect with the teammates more. I don't know how much merit you put into it, but it certainly seems like they did something during that bye week. And you remember we joked about when they got back from the bye week, Jalen said, yeah, this is one of the best bye weeks ever, whatever the wording was that he used. Yeah. But now this comes out from Jay Glazer. What do you make of it, John?
On a scale of 1 to 10, can I go negative? Who cares?
You can
what last week we're talking about, AJ and Jalen don't get along because of what Brandon said. Now this week, Jay Glazer, they went to visit during the bye week. I don't know. Did they go to visit during week 7, week 8, 2? Boy, this shit's overrated. I wish people would stop talking about people's personal lives, to be honest, unless they bring it into the equation.
Well, I think this could have became something that the Eagles wanted to get out there potentially after last week.
Probably. Oh, no doubt about it. But
Yeah.
again, they're spinning a narrative, and that's why I put it negative, negative 50 on a scale of 1 to 10. They got good players. That's why they're good. They're not good because they connect. They're not good because they're all.
You mean to tell
friends.
me the Nick Sirianni trait of connecting, John, isn't the reason?
No, and I love you, Nick, but no, it's not. You could have the closest team in the world, and if you don't have talent, you're not going to win many games. It's just the way it is, and I wish everybody could stipulate to that. Now, if somebody brings in their personal life by something they do in their personal life, you got to talk about it. As far as Big Dom and Brandon visiting Jalen Hurts, what are we, the White House? Are we going to keep a log? Who goes to Jalen Hurts' house?
Yeah, right. Look at this. This is a foul comment right here. Where is it? Matthew says, Zander, please don't turn my favorite morning show into The View.
I mean, I'm just amazed that people latch on to this, and I don't think most people do, but
yeah, it was just fun. I just wanted to get your perspective on it.
You're not. I'm not blaming you.
I'm not. Yeah, and I'm not mad at you for hating it. That's why I wanted to get your perspective on it.
Everybody aggregates it. Everybody brings it out. Oh, Jake, the Jalen Hurts logs. Brandon Graham was there during the bye week. Yeah, I'm sure he's got a lot of people at his house. Yeah. Anyway, but that's what sells. That's a good comment to view, because that's what Jay's doing. He's doing a view. That's what TV is. TV's fluff,
right?
And that's what it is. It's not his fault, but I mean, are we going to go around the rest of the league and say who's going to Jared Goff's house in a time of desperation for the Detroit Lions? Did Sam Darnold have Justin Jefferson over for tea? I mean, what?
Birds View 365. Birds View 365 here. John, did you catch it? At least did you catch? Well, I guess this is probably fluff in your opinion too. And I guess I wouldn't disagree. But did you see the unscripted of all the Georgia players? They're actually, I mean, from a meaningful perspective.
Yeah, I did.
It was cool, but
those
guys are starting to play better. That is not fluff.
Well,
the Georgia boys are coming along.
They're all friends from college, obviously. But
yeah,
I did see, and I saw a real quick clip of it, and Nakobe got like a present that a C, and he didn't know what the hell it meant.
Yeah,
I saw that part of it. I still don't know what it meant.
I don't know what it meant. I don't think they know what it meant either. They were all joking about it.
Yeah, I mean, those guys have been friends, obviously dating back to before they even got here. And that's what I say about every NFL locker room. It's just like any other workplace. So you got, when you talk about the roster, practice squad, injured guys, you're talking about 75 guys at any one time. A lot of them get along. Some of them, there's cliques. There's it's like any other workplace. And not everybody's best friends. Some people are best friends. Dallas Goedert and Avonte Maddox, best example of that. Yeah, so it's like any other workplace.
John, NFL Week 16. I don't know if you can believe that. That sounds crazy to me. I can't believe how quick this season is going by. Just 3 games left for this football team and 3 straight NFC East games for the Birds.
That's the biggest advantage. Boy, when you talk about, by the way, the Eagles are also the AFC North champions. You mentioned that before.
They are.
They swept the AFC North, which is a good division. That's a good sweep. Now the NFC East, not a good division. And, if you rewind back to the start of the season, I think we all thought it would be a 2-horse race. It turned into a 2-horse race, just not the 2 horses we thought. Instead of the Eagles Cowboys, it turned into Eagles Commanders. And, Washington's a good team. Again, not a great team. I'll always take Vic Fangio against a young quarterback. You saw him the first time. Probably Jaden Daniels' worst game, or certainly his worst game since very early in the season. So while I say 2-horse race, it hasn't been much of a race. Clearly, the Eagles are going to win the division, just a matter of when. Clearly, they're the best team in the division, and that's a big advantage because, Detroit's got to play Minnesota. Minnesota's got to play Detroit and Green Bay. That's tough. And the Eagles are going to get a respite with Dallas, even though they're playing a little bit better with Cooper Rush. It's still Cooper Rush. And then the Giants, who are more concerned, I would think, with the number 1 overall pick and figuring out what they're going to do with their coaching and GM positions.
Yeah, this game does have implications too for the Commanders. They're still fighting for that last.
Oh yeah, they still have to make the playoffs. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to make it, but if they lose out, they will obviously not make it, and so they're going to be fighting in this game for sure. Let's get to a couple of our super chats here. 3 straight NFC East games, guys. We got the Commanders, Cowboys, and then we'll close it out with the New York Football Giants. Alexander Harris checks in. Seeing what Atlanta is doing at quarterback makes you appreciate Howie even more. What a waste of money, bad management. I did want to talk to you about Kirk Cousins heading to the bench.
Yeah, I like that Kevin Clark had Mike Silver on the show, and they finally talked about how many coaches in this league love Kirk Cousins.
Yeah,
because I've been telling Jody that for years, and he rolls his eyes at me. Everybody I go, you don't get it, man. These guys love him. Because he's an old school quarterback, play action. The interesting thing about Atlanta is they got a play action quarterback, maybe the play action quarterback. And they hired a guy from the Rams to be the offensive coordinator, and they don't run play action.
Doesn't make sense.
So, Kevin O'Connell brought up that quote, said he was talking about young quarterbacks, but he said organizations fail quarterbacks more than quarterbacks fail organizations. Atlanta failed Kirk Cousins from the moment they drafted Michael Penix. And, he's 36 years old. He's coming off an Achilles. He's probably not going to be that great anyway. They probably made a bad decision. So they doubled down on bad decisions. And now they got to pay essentially $90 million for a bad decision. So, yeah, they have a crappy organization.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins, Andrew Brandt's putting him in the first ballot in the Business Hall of Fame.
No question about that.
Yeah,
it's Mike McCartney, his agent, who should be, but who's funny because he's got a great Twitter stick, X stick, because everybody thinks he's Mike McCarthy, Cowboys, and they just rip him during Cowboys games. And he's tweeting, and there's a lot of fans who think it's the actual Mike McCarthy. It's unbelievable. But anyway, he's the agent. He's responsible for it. But he's been a very good player for a very long time. People don't get it. I get it.
I like him. I've always liked Kirk. I've never been a Kirk hater. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's a good player, good dude, works hard. I like him. Yeah,
tough guy, tough as nails. If you saw the quarterback show on Netflix. But the Shanahan McVay guys love him. And they've always loved him since he was in Washington because he makes throws nobody else can make if you're running that type of offense. And now it's getting smaller and smaller to the point these guys are going to have to think about adjusting because there's nobody who can run that offense. But as far as why Atlanta didn't run that offense, I don't know. That's
bad coaching, right? I mean, you got Kirk Cousins, dude. What do you know?
Yeah, that's bad coaching.
And they have a good running back. It's not like they don't have the running game to set up.
Two good running backs.
Yeah,
you could argue they have the best running back room in the NFL. with Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, but they're really good at running back. So, I don't know why they did. I don't know why they signed him. I don't know why after they signed him, they drafted a quarterback in the top 10. And I don't know why after all of that, they decided to play the veteran and didn't run the system that the veteran is good at and the offensive coordinator came from. I mean, you can attack the Atlanta Falcons on so many angles with that decision. It's crazy.
Good stuff there, Alexander. Appreciate the super. Abe says Pom Pom Fangio. Love it. What's he referring to?
He's talking about the pom poms. When the Eagles had the 10-minute drive, he brought up. Yeah.
Vic is like, I had the pom poms. Yeah, why wouldn't he? Right? Why wouldn't he?
Yeah, I mean, when your defense only plays, I think they played 43 plays. That's a good day, man.
I thought it was 41, right? 41's even crazy.
It was 41. It was 43 when I think it was I think they got it wrong originally.
Oh, okay. But Eduardo checks in and says, we're sweeping the commodes, baby. I think we are too. I said that early in the year too. I said at 7.
Yeah, they should. I'm going to predict them to win. I'll take Beckett against a young quarterback every time. Every time. And I love Jalen
right now. If the season ended today, which it obviously doesn't, the Eagles would play the Commanders in the first round of the playoffs. I think that's the best matchup.
And then you know what you're going to hear that week? It's tough to win 3 times against the same team. No, it's not. No, it's not.
I don't buy that bullshit either.
Yeah. No, it's not. Especially when you're better. No, it's not. It's probably easier because the other team knows it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They'll get a little Herb Brooks miracle speech. If they played us 10 times, they might win 9, but not this game. Not tonight. All right, let's get to our commercial break. We got Mike Gill in the green room. Looking forward to talking to Mike Gill coming up next here on Birds 365. We'll have Brandon Lee Gowton in hour number 2. So we got a good show planned for everybody, our typical Wednesday guest that we'll talk to. Looking forward to doing that. Before I do get to the break, I want to tell you guys about the great people at BetUS. Check out the promo code on your screen. It's YouTube150. Gives you 150% sign-up bonus on your very first deposit, and you get 125% on your second and third deposit, all up to $2,000. So deposit less and bet with more at BetUS. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. We'll be back in 3 minutes with Mike Gill on Birds 365.